All right, so, hi everybody. The way I see it, it's 10:30 at night. There's a gala going on. There's a concert going on. So everybody outside is going to be really confused when all of the noise is coming from this room. So, before we get started, who here fights for the new Lunar Republic? All right, who here marches for the Solar Empire? Okay, Lunar guys, come on. Let's hear you guys. Let's come on. Solar guys, are you gonna take that?
No, we are!
Okay, who here, no matter what side you fight for, wants a united Equestria? And last of all, who here is having a good BronyCon 2016? All right, let's get this thing started. So, welcome everyone to the Shattered Kingdom panel. For those of you who don't know what this game is, we'll get into the best explanation we can, which is showing you a demo in a bit, but I'm going to give a brief synopsis and then we're all going to introduce ourselves. So, this is a tactical RPG in the vein of Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics or Advanced Wars, that kind of thing. It's very story-oriented, so you make a lot of decisions over the course of the game, and all your decisions are going to have some sort of consequence, and there's a very wide variety of consequences you can have. There's multiple endings, and obviously there's at least two distinct paths if you want to go with the Solar Empire or New Lunar Republic. The story of the game, before we do the panel, to give you kind of a setup, is that there is a schism, obviously, between Luna and Celestia. What happens is Luna, after getting out of her imprisonment and being her normal self again, realized that every year, like, all kinds of crazy stuff is happening in Equestria that's not good. We've got centaurs, we've got changelings, we've got Draconici, we've got there's constantly bad stuff happening. And the only thing that is stopping them is the elements of harmony. So what she proposes is that they form a militia, that they bolster the guard and make an actual army to fight off the enemies of Equestria. Just a little switch on top. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Celestia obviously isn't very happy with this because if they build a big army, then other countries are going to think they're getting ready for war and they're going to look really militaristic. And there's a lot of other small little things that build up the tension up till Luna breaks off and creates the new Lunar Republic. And before anyone knows what's going on, there's a civil war. That's the setup pretty much that's the setup for the game. The part of the demo we're going to show you is about 3/4 into the game. We're not going to explain everything that happens, but it's late into the war on the Solar Empire side, where there's a siege on Stalingrad, which we haven't seen in the show yet, so we've got new environments like that. But before we do that, let's all introduce ourselves.
My name's Silphil, I'm the art lead.
I'm Gremlin Grenade. I am the creative director and producer.
I am Catherine, I do the programming.
I'm Seventh Element, the music lead.
And I think you guys all know Twilight Sparkle. I don't think she needs to introduce herself. All right, so without further ado, we're going to start the demo, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the game. Or we're all going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So the first thing is that this is still a pretty early pre-alpha. We've been making slower progress than we'd like to, and there's a lot of bugs. This version shouldn't crash, but if it does, please forgive us. We've got big updates on the way. We've got a whole new engine we're moving to that should crash pretty much never.
Cross our fingers on that one.
Really pretty much never is better than most of the time. Just saying.
Yeah. Improvements, yeah.
Oh, and we should read off the dialogue. What? Twilight's gonna read it. Move it.
Yeah, Twilight's gonna read all her own dialogue here.
Commander, I wanted to talk to you about this X operation.
Oh no.
You can be Eclipse.
I can't see it from here.
Okay, well.
What is it, princess?
I'm just not sure about this whole thing. Stalingrad hasn't been taken by any army in recorded history. It's practically impenetrable. Even if we succeed, I'm worried many lives will be lost.
Go with whatever you want.
There's bottles of water. Move the bottles of water. Thank you. I understand your concerns, princess, but I'm confident we can win here with minimal losses for either side.
Are you sure, Commander? I'm afraid you might be asking the impossible of yourself.
I've always kept my word, princess. You know that I won't let this be any different.
If you say so.
Thank you, Twilight. This is you. Yes, of course it is.
The troops have been armed and are awaiting your order, Commander. Shall we discuss the operation?
Go with whatever you want. Yes, let's discuss.
Let's just not have me talk about it.
Fine.
I can't
Okay.
see this.
All right. Yes, let's discuss strategy.
Very well. As you can see here, there is a central path down this gorge that will lead us straight to Stalingrad. I don't believe I have to explain to you at this point that this is exactly where they're expecting us to go.
I see. What are our options?
Well, we could attempt to weather the storm and push through the strait. For all its risks, it is also the fastest route to the enemy.
We won't be moving very fast if we're dead in Zenith.
We could also send a detachment along one of the ridges and stop any incoming fire before it cuts us to ribbons. Of course, it's advisable that you send one of us to lead that detachment if you do. It will undoubtedly be a perilous operation.
If taking a little longer means keeps our troops safe, I'm willing to divert some soldiers. You want to do Windscar?
Commander, with your permission, I'd like to lead the detachment. I believe my superior mobility will be an effective tool in this situation.
So, all right, who's going to lead the detachment? You guys decide. Who? Okay, so, yeah, and I'm going to get to that. So, Windscar is the character on screen right now. She's a fast, agile Pegasus character. She uses a lance, and she's very much about quick strikes. Zenith is the one you saw a little bit ago, the unicorn. She's much more about magic-based attacks, about support abilities, and she's also pretty mobile, but she's a lot more defenseless. Orion is all about
He's the
tough.
tank.
He's the tank, yeah. He's the one you saw in the armor. He's a unicorn, so he has some magical abilities, but he's mostly about hitting hard and taking a lot of damage. And Eclipse, the main character, obviously is a unicorn. She's balanced in kind of most respects. She uses magic pretty well, but she's pretty much an all-rounder. All right, who we got for Windscar? Okay, who we got for Zenith?
Like one person, two.
Who we
There
got
you
for
go.
Orion?
Okay, looks like the tank is winning.
And who we got for Eclipse? All right, we're
The
gonna go with
tank
Orion.
wins. And I want to. Okay, never mind. Go.
What do you want to say?
I wanted to point out at this point, all the portrait art you're seeing was doodles, scribbles, trying to just get concepts of it. These are not final at all.
I wouldn't call them doodles and scribbles, but they are concept art. We're gonna have revamped portraits with expressions like you would see in Fire Emblem.
These are years old. When we were doodling these things, I cringe when seeing them.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Orion's armor and shock
Yeah.
tactics will be able to cripple any ranged units before they do damage to our main force. I want them in charge of the detachment. They won't know what hit them. I will lead. Oh wait. Okay, that was a bug. That one was my fault. All right, so while she's going through the demo, we're going to explain a little bit about it. And let's start with the art and the kind of changes and progress we've made in the last couple of months, or last year, I guess.
Huh? Okay. So, for the most part, the change we made from the initial builds and things like that is every major character right now has 6 frames of animation. The original default is 3. 3 frames of animation is terrifying. What just happened?
Pinky's portrait is not finalized. we grabbed something at the last minute, and I figured I wanted her to look scary. You know, she's got to be imposing.
I'm a little tempted to keep something very similar for her. Yeah. As you notice, for those who haven't seen this game before, the art style is nowhere near show style. That is very, very much on purpose. We do not want to be confused with trying to look like official stuff. We do not want to look official.
Correct.
Nope.
Yeah, all the art in the game, 100% of it is going to be original. It might, we're obviously using characters that you're familiar with, but we're making everything ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And I'm struggling at the moment to think of much else. We have introduced the UI, which Kitty has nicely implemented, and we made look not like default RPG Maker.
Yes, if you were at our panel last year, then all this stuff in the corners was probably new to you. It looked really bad before. It was a lot of numbers, it was a lot of small images, and we put a lot of work into the UI, to giving you an idea of the character's health, their mana left, who's attacking who, and the action points bar on the right, which is a good segue into design. So, for those of you who don't know anything about the game, then the way we have the combat system set up is a little different from most turn-based RPGs, or turn-based strategy games, is that rather than every unit having a set number of moves, your entire army has a unit or a number of action points. You can divide up the action points as much as you want throughout the army, and we're kind of revising the system a little bit to make it more balanced, but the idea is that as the commander, you decide how to divert your resources. You could put all of your action points into one character, but if you move them too far out and they get stranded, they're gonna get swamped and probably die. If you spread it out more evenly, then you can keep everyone safe, but the levels will generally take longer, so obviously there's a level of strategy and tactics to it. All of the units play differently, and all of the troops, like the non-named characters, will play a little bit differently. If you're familiar with MLP, which everyone here probably is, then you're going to be familiar with what units are good off right off the bat just because of who they are. Unicorns can do magic, Pegasi can fly, your earth ponies are more hardy, and so on and so forth.
By the way, they can fly. They're still walking, but they can fly. You know, they just move faster.
Right now, that's the case.
Yeah.
Like we said, this is still a work in progress for sure.
You can see those beautiful 3-frame walks of those guards.
Yeah, the guards are very
gorgeous.
old assets. We redid them just recently, and we haven't had time to implement them. But they look so much better now. Where was I? Right, all the units are different, all the characters are different, and we have branching leveling paths as well. So not only are the characters different, but each character has multiple options for new skills when they level up. And so not only is your army very diverse, but 2 players can have completely different play styles depending on how they leveled up their characters and what they wanted to focus on. Oh, she should be able to.
And while most of the art, or most of the characters were made by me, the lovely level here goes credit to Husey. Obviously, he could not be here. He is stuck in Finland, being Finnish.
Yes.
And yeah,
But
a little far for him. But yeah, pretty much all the environments are his responsibility, and he does lovely jobs.
He does a fantastic job with all of them. Next, we'll move on to the music.
The music that you're hearing at this particular moment was done by Radiark, who recently has left our team, but he's done a lot of great work for us. We kind of take a approach to writing the music for this game in terms of emotional connotation, because each of these battles has some kind of specific, cause and effect on each of the characters, and we really try to weigh that when we write the music for this game, as well as keeping it within the intensity of the moment and all that stuff. Anything else you really want me to cover on that? Oh yeah. So the title screen you heard earlier was something I wrote, and I collaborated with someone in the fandom named Equestrian Strumpet. She could not be here because she's playing Rarity in the gala.
We love you, Strumpet. Thank you so much.
She has a wonderful voice, and we literally recorded what you heard in the intro during BronyPalooza last year.
Yes.
It's really a wonder how we got it to sound any amount of good, but it works.
All right, so one thing we're doing a little differently this year as far as the panel goes is that this demo is a lot more drawn out. The Battle of Stalingrad, in context of the story, is supposed to be very rough and rigorous and drawn out. You're supposed to, like, it's arguably going to be the hardest battle of the game for the Solar Empire. The Lunar Republic is going to have a comparative different battle that will reveal at a later date. But you're going to feel like exhausted by the end of it is the plan. So that was weird. So the battle for this demo is going to be a little bit long compared to the last ones. So rather than just sitting here watching a turn-based strategy game, which can be interesting, but with no commentary is kind of boring, we're going to open up Q&A right now while the demo's still going. So please form a line in front of the microphone so that everyone can hear your questions. And we are open to any and all questions. Just, you might not get an answer.
I asked this kind of the same question, but I revised it a little bit.
Okay.
Last year. So, with the new Lunar Republic and the Solar Empire branching out, there's most likely going to be different strategies that each one implements. Are each faction going to have unique abilities and unique armor and weapons?
Well, definitely their visuals are very different. Obviously, I mean, they have different color palettes, so they always will look different, always have different armors and just general looks and feels and weapons and things like that.
As far as strategy goes, as far as the army in general, it's not going to be like, we don't have any planned army-wide abilities or anything like that. We'll see how things go, but that really wasn't part of the goal. But they do each have different units. At the very least, the main characters play completely differently. We didn't just create parallels for all of them. Everyone was designed from the ground up to be completely unique. And we plan to have different units for both armies, so we'll see where that gets us. Does that answer your question? Cool, thanks.
I was curious how many, admittedly, I was wondering if there were, obviously you were doing the voices here and there was a voice in the intro, which I missed. But I was wondering if you had any other plans for voice acting, and if you had any, if you already had anyone selected for that.
We're not planning on doing any voice acting for two reasons. One, because the quality of voice acting for characters that already exist is highly subjective. Like, what one person thinks it sounds exactly like Twilight, another person might be like, that's completely off. And if we made the characters, we can decide what they sound like, but since you have Twilight's voice in your head already, then the little voice I did at the beginning isn't going to cut it. And the other reason is because those sound bites take a lot of file size, and we don't want an RPG Maker game to be like 23 gigs.
Fair enough. I suppose the other alternative would be to just voice acting during combat. I have seen that or heard that, but I guess that would fall into the same problem with the canon characters' voices, and it would be odd to have the canon characters be silent and the original characters be voiced in that context, even in that context, I suppose.
Yeah, you're kind of avoiding voice acting.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool, but it's just not feasible.
Any other, I suppose, any other assets are you looking for at this time?
What do you mean by assets?
Just, well, I assume you have a fairly complete team, so that the answer is probably no, but just like any particular talent that you would like to add to the team.
Right now, we've got a pretty well-built team. We're always looking for more people. Our hiring process is ongoing. I believe pretty strongly in an ongoing hiring process because you never know when the right person will have free time.
Yeah, it's the issue
That-
with volunteer teams, like whoever has the time.
But that said, what we have right now is exactly what we need to get the game done. So,
Also, forgive me for asking 2 questions.
oh, that's all right. We've got time.
This one might be more due to interpretation of the main characters, like differences in our interpretations. But I would think that if Celestia and Luna split into factions like this, Twilight would be too torn to even decide which princess to join up. Because while she was Celestia's student, she has helped out Luna a lot. So how?
To be honest,
not easy
Yeah,
for-
to be honest, deciding which canon characters go on which side is one of the hardest decisions we had to make, and there's going to be some that somebody doesn't like because you can't please everybody. Our reasoning with putting Twilight on the Solar Empire was just that she's a lot closer to Celestia, and more that she believes in Celestia's cause than that she's close to Celestia, that she believes a militia. She's solved everything through the power of friendship, so the idea of stopping things through militant force seems 100% unnecessary to her.
She's a princess of friendship. She wants to solve things with friendship and harmony and all that.
Her counterpart, who was also really hard to decide on which side they would go on, is Princess Cadence, who we decided went with Luna because she's been kidnapped by changelings. She's been in pretty much one of the worst scenarios that you could possibly be, and she definitely believes if the guard was tightened up, that wouldn't be the case. So we've made a lot of decisions along that kind of thinking for all the characters, along how they fit in with this exact story. There's going to be times when you're like, oh, I thought X would be so much better for the Lunar Republic. They just feel right. And 9 times out of 10, we probably agree with you. But there's also like so many reasons they feel right with the other side, and we just had to make a decision.
Like one that I'm especially curious based on that is Rainbow Dash.
She was arguably the hardest. In the process of writing the story, she's changed sides, I think, 3 times. Right now, she's part of the New Lunar Republic, and that was actually K-Cat's kind of prerogative. Her reasoning being, what was it? Oh, that she's being loyal to the country. It's because she's the element of loyalty. She feels that the loyal thing to do would be keep everything safe. And there'll be characters who poke at her and say, well, you're not being loyal by sticking with a breakaway faction, but that's part of the story.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking as well. So thank you for having an opinion that agrees with me.
Yeah.
This might be way too early to ask, but are you going to have all the enemy units move during the enemy's turn, or is it going to be all the units the player can see?
Right now, we're planning on all the units moving. We've been going back and forth about it, but really what it comes down to is that turn-based strategy versus real-time strategy. Generally, turn-based, it's more about like being able to know what the entire field is and making your decisions based on that, a la chess. Oh, good. What happened? You know, but what happened? Did you kill the last guy? Oh, okay, that's what happened. Yeah. Okay, well, you can put out of it then. So yeah, sorry, I kind of got distracted. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Okay, we've won.
We really do have a new engine right around the corner. It's like so close, and this thing is going to be out the window, and it's going to be working. So we're sorry about it breaking here.
Go ahead.
There was another pony game. It was the Fighting is Magic game, and I think they ended up getting hit hard by Hasbro.
Yeah,
and they had to switch the IP and everything out. So you're still using the original characters. So how do you plan to protect yourselves from the lawyers and having to switch all your characters?
That's again one of the reasons we chose a completely different art style, so no one can confuse it. Their art in Fighting is Magic looked show accurate, so they could go, oh look, it's an official Hasbro gun. There's no confusion when you look at this. that it's not.
This is something that we've also given a lot of thought into, and there's no right answer to it. And essentially, what we've all agreed on, and how we feel about it, is we know the risks, and we're not trying to stick it to Hasbro. We're doing this because we love the show and because we love what they made. And if they shut us down, they shut us down. And you know, we might make something of our own after that and hope that you guys continue to support us. And that would be best case scenario. But unless that happens, this game's going to be finished. Now that said, I forgot what I was going with this.
I don't know. I was thinking also, you know, we're not as nearly popular as Fighting as Magic, so
Yeah,
we're not as much in their eye.
We're trying not to get them upset. We're trying to stay out of their eye. Oh, I remember where I was going with it. Why we made that decision, though, ultimately, is I came to the team, I think after like the third C&D in a row. I think it was MLP Online at that time. No, that was the first one. I don't know what it was. There was like the third game to get C&D'd, and I said to them, all right, we're still kind of early into this. Do you guys want to quit doing show stuff, just make up our own ponies and make it like all original? And the story will probably suffer because like we have all of this backstory to work off of with the show, but we'll be safe. And everyone said, I want to take the risk. I want to make this game the best it can be, or go down trying.
Yeah, everyone loves these canon characters. You already have an emotional attachment to those characters, and that we want to play off that. We want that.
Mm-hmm. So that, yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes.
By the way, guys, stick around because after, you know what? Yeah, after this, after you with the Deadpool shirt, we'll do questions again after that. But we have a little contest going, and I'll explain it once we get through this line. All right, Big, you can go ahead.
I was just wondering how the leveling system works. Like, do you get upgrades depending on like how much you level up and how much XP do you get, or do you just get like stats?
That's a work in progress. Where we're at right now is that you can, you know, I want to take a little segue for a second and say that one thing I like to do with these panels that a lot of people at like AAA industry panels don't do, or E3 don't do, is be completely candid with you guys. And that means that some things that I say may not be true when the final game comes out, and I just trust that people will be, you know, understand and be adult about it.
No, be adult.
So be aware that anything we say is subject to change. That doesn't mean it will change, and it doesn't mean it won't change. Just, you know. But if I say something's a work in progress, that means it might not be true what I said next year. So in regards to the level up system, the way it is right now is your stats increase by predetermined increments every time a character levels up, but you get to pick their skills every other level. So they have their new abilities. And some of them are passive abilities, so those will change their stats, and some of them are active abilities like what we used in the demo. But your skills themselves you don't pick, and you get XP by doing damage to units. We actually have a morale system that we're kind of tweaking right now, but that should be a non-combative way to level your characters up as well, but I don't want to say too much about it because that one is very early stages.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I was just wondering if y'all have talked about making a third side that's trying to end the war without the Lunar Republic or the Solar Empire winning, honestly, like actually winning. Because if you haven't, I've got part of a backstory.
We've talked about everything. We've considered all kinds of possibilities. I don't want to give any spoilers. That's the sentence. But
yeah, when he said there's multiple endings, he meant more than two.
There's more than 2 endings. We've got 5 for sure. And yes, that's an odd number.
How about the defeat of your characters? Do they have like a permadeath system, and if so, do they affect the story in some way?
This is something that we've been tossed up about for a long time. The current plan is no, but I honestly don't know. This is also another good time to make an interesting segue, which is that we really want to be interactive with our fans and get opinions from you guys. We have a Tumblr. Our website is rpg.horse. That's the name of the site. It should be the easiest thing to
Best
remember.
URL we could possibly get. Like,
and we have cards in case you forget.
RPG definitely.
But right now it's a Tumblr, and right now the one running the Tumblr is me, and on top of running the game and running my life, I kind of neglect it a little bit, but I read every question we get, and I think about it, and we all think about it, and so we really want to know what people think. So for the permadeath example, we've tried to make this accessible to new players. I think that turn-based strategy is the least accessible genre out there. I think that if you don't play turn-based strategy games, then no game lets you start. And so I want to fix that, but at the same time, I don't want to turn away players who've been doing these games for a long, long time, because that's what I've been doing and that's what I thought of the game over. So we're not sure what to do. Right now, we're thinking of doing something like the Fire Emblem games where it's an option, but that's kind of a lot of work.
And that's hard to balance.
And it's very difficult to balance. So we'd like to know what you guys would think.
Tell us your opinions. Nicely, please.
Yes. Or not. I mean,
Before I get to my question, I'd like to give you my opinion on that. And
Okay.
I could see that permadeath is not in, and why? Simplest answer, magic.
There we go.
There we go.
You talked about having different members of the elements of harmony, or at least you hinted and skirted around about how they're joining
Let's say
different
that logo
sides
is,
of it.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is this: are you considering bringing other canonized characters other than the main elements of harmony characters that are more background ponies that might not necessarily from the show have a set backstory or something like that, but ponies that we would recognize, that we know that the main six would, have actively engaged with, join various sides? Or do you have an option or a system whereby something would arise and you would encounter this character, and judging by how you explain yourself or how you answer their questions, determine whether or not they join the Luna Empire or the Luna Republic or the Solar Empire?
Well, the answer to that question is essentially, right now we're not planning any other canon characters being playable, because right now each side has a full cast of characters. We have 4 original characters per faction and 3 elements of harmony, or kind of 4. No, we have 3 elements of harmony. Sorry, and then 1 that's neutral, and can be joining either side. Now, and that's a lot of characters. Now the characters might show up in the game, but
Yeah, if you walk around like Ponyville, you'll see some familiar faces.
Right.
But not necessarily influenceable.
Have you considered, if you were to bring in these other characters and allowed your influence to either sway them towards your side or the other side, having them be kind of more of a support character in the way where they will bring something like supplies, such as, and this was the example that I thought of in line, if you were to convince Vinyl Scratch that she needs to, that your efforts are good in joining the Muda Empire, because, you know, she's a DJ and probably during this war-torn time run some kind of underground radio broadcast system, would then broadcast propaganda for your side, and therefore you would be able to bring in more supplies like bits or maybe even more fresh troops. So after each battle, your existing troops, your heroes or the characters that you actually play as may have a boost because they have more support behind them. Or maybe that could even hurt you, that you answer or you sway them towards the other side because of your decisions or because of the way that an event turns out. And thus that could, hurt you by, okay, you could have had this chance, you could have had these buffs, per se, temporary buffs for the next battle, but now you don't, but the enemy does, and now that next battle is going to be kind of a upgoing hill.
Well, I guess the answer to that is that we're not planning on the other show characters being involved too much. There's one that I can say, which is Shining Armor, who is going to essentially play your rival. He has reasons to be your rival no matter what side you're on. And he has reasons to not really want to be.
But like what you're talking about, not so much.
We don't want to go into that level of detail just because we don't have time for it.
It's a little too complicated, just with what you're trying to do.
It's not so much too complicated as that it requires a lot of art and a lot of writing, and we just want to finish what we can start.
Yeah, a lot more assets than we need to finish our base stuff before we start expanding into something more complicated.
It could be included as DLC later on.
And we'll consider this. We'll consider this.
All right, thank
you.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. All right, 2 short questions. Both of them will reveal how little I know about this business.
It's okay.
When I play, one of my favorite turn-based RPGs of this style was Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. And it had the systems of, you had your standard attacks, which were like arrows, which flew, people swung swords, like down. But you also had like the summoners or the totemas, which were slightly more cinematic, so they felt more powerful when they came out. Are you intending to have attacks like that? Because we saw some like fireballs coming down, but things that looked slightly better.
Right now, well,
the magic attacks and all that are still like the stock assets that come with the maker. They're going to be redone.
Yeah.
So there'll be some flashier stuff coming.
I guess the best way I can answer that is I don't know, because that's not how we're thinking about it. We're just deciding what abilities would be good for each character, and if they turn out really cool and flashy, then they do, and if they don't, they don't. Obviously, really powerful characters like Alicorns are going to have really cool, flashy powers later in the game, but for the most part, it's probably going to not be that way, so that's much faster paced.
Yeah, you should go to our Tumblr and pick up the old Cannerlot demo, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
And Luna is a playable character briefly. Lots of flash.
And then the second short question reveals that I just saw you guys on the schedule and had no prior knowledge, but who is the little plushie you have on your desk?
This is our main character, Clips.
Main character? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to get your question, but first we're going to do a little contest thing. So you can stay right there. We will get to you.
Yeah, you're right there anyway.
Okay, so for any of you guys who are walking around the vendor hall, you might have noticed that Silpho's booth had our cards, our flyers, and a little sheet of paper that said, name this guy, essentially. We have a character that has been on the Lunar Republic side of the roster for a very long time, and we're really, really bad at coming up with horse names. Like, you have no idea. So we asked you guys to do it, and you came up with some pretty cool things. So what we did was we went through the list of everything that you guys gave us up till now, and we came down to our favorite 3. And we're going to let you guys vote on it. So, the 3 names are Cypher, Martingale, and En Passant. Yeah.
Okay,
we will
explain.
Maybe show a picture of him, maybe?
Okay.
We don't have pictures. So of the guy.
I'll try to explain these. Obviously, Cypher is a thing used to break codes. He is a strategist, this character, very intelligent. Yeah.
Yeah, can you do that?
Okay.
Yes, okay. We're going to pull up a picture of the character real fast. She's going to get to that. But we'll describe him a little bit. And, all right, sorry. That's my train of thought. So he's, the way to describe this character that I can the best,
he is a revolutionist and a strategist. He is very clever, very cunning, and very for the common people at any sort of cost.
Right.
Ruthless.
He's been a supporter of Luna for a long time, to the point that some people think he's a supporter of Nightmare Moon, which he doesn't really confirm or deny. He's very young and idealist. He wants every pony to be equal, and like Sil said, he's willing to do that at any cost. So we're
So-
going to try and get an image
Yeah.
up, but we're
Yeah,
kind of
well,
having internet issues. But
Doing that, I'll go ahead and explain the other terms as well. A martingale is a piece of horse tack that keeps the horse's head down, so it's very restrictive. It has some connotations there for what he does. And en passant is a chess move, basically a pawn-only move, which, you know, is for the people, for the regular guys. It's a very quirky, weird move if you're not used to it, but yeah, it's a chess move. And
then-
his cutie mark is a chessboard.
And then a cipher is a tool you use to solve codes. So we're going to have a picture up in a moment, and then we'll take the vote.
Yeah? Hmm? Google. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things, like, I remember playing a whole bunch of, like, Final Fantasy games where we're going, what's this character's name? And I look it up, oh, that's a really cool name with, like, all this mythology and whatever else. We don't quite have mythology and all that on our side, but, you know, Google. Yeah. And they can learn how to pronounce it rather than being impassant. So.
Okay, this is our character design. So let that sink in for a moment. So, we're going to go, all right, so do we have any votes for Cypher? We actually have to count these.
Okay,
Give us a moment.
I'll count this side.
Keep your arms up.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 over here.
14, 16,
I counted these
20,
two.
22, 4. Okay, all right. We'll go over them a second time, just to be fair. Any for en passant? It's pretty, that's a
Okay,
lot.
that's a lot.
1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10,
Keep them up high. There you go. No double counts, Kenny.
Okay.
No.
And any from Martingale?
Crack. Broke my heart.
That was actually my favorite. That's okay. Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming majority. So, thanks to you guys, the fans, our character's named En Passant.
And he is now French. Which is fitting. Revolutionist, that is very French.
All right, so you can go back. We're going to continue Q&A for as much time as we got. And
Are
yeah.
the endings going to be better than vanilla Mass Effect 3?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. 5 endings, not 3 color choices.
Wait, what is that?
Better than Mass Effect 3 ending.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
For sure.
so I was going to suggest that actually, if his backstory ever comes up, he should find out that his parents chose his name democratically, and that's why he has that behavior about him. Why he's very much for
I
equality.
like that a lot, actually.
Also, do any of you read First Awesome Platoon?
No, I'm afraid not.
I was hoping you guys, or that Martingale will get chosen because he's the Master Sergeant and he's a very mean pony.
Oh.
Can we name him Martingale?
You're the one who came up with En Passant. I saw you.
I mean, if you really, really want.
Serious question. This is awesome.
Thank
you
you.
guys have done like 2 or 3 panels on this game before.
Here. We've done
Sure.
more outside of that.
Yeah, God. Aside, like, is there like a sum up post on your Tumblr or something like that where someone can spend 10 to 15 minutes going through it and just getting caught up on what the
There's
game
an
is?
about page. It
Yeah.
has the whole synopsis, like.
I mean,
Long thing.
I don't know. All right, so here's one of the big things about developing this game. As the creative director, I've got the whole thing in my head. So it's kind of like, I forget what people don't know, and I don't know how to explain things because I have this whole world in my head, and it's like if you asked Lauren Faust to explain MLP, I'm pretty sure she would throw everything at you, and you'd be like, that's not what I want. And if you ask someone who watched the show, they could give you a short synopsis. So, and I'm the one managing the Tumblr, so that's kind of what you got. I try to make these, the panels, each comprehensive enough that if you watch the most recent panel, you're up to date. But they are half an hour, so that's a good question, and we're working on it.
let me know if you want help.
Yeah, and all right, when we're talking about having open hiring, or constant hiring, if we could get a PR person, that would be so cool. I just really need a
Just
PR
like
person.
me.
Related to the hiring and the thing, is there any way in which we, the fans, may support you? Patreon, Kickstarter?
I really wish there was.
Take money
We
at all
can't
for
take
this.
any money.
Oh, good point. Well, okay, I won't question that. But
At best, you may be able to support individuals. I think Seventh may. I
Correct.
don't know if you do. I have something, but that's for our own personal things. But
Right.
we can't
Okay.
take money for this.
I assume that on the Tumblr or on the site, there are places where fans can contribute more intellectually.
I mean, if you send an ask, we'll read it and we'll probably respond to it at some point.
Yeah. So if we respond to it, it'll get posted, and we can start a discussion on it. Yeah.
Alright, do you guys plan on adding teleportation or flight movement?
Yeah, we plan on it.
Okay.
It's a little tricky right now, but we're planning on it.
Yeah, because the movement right now is a little blocky.
It is a little blocky.
Hey, we got good when we got diagonal movement.
Yeah, oh my God, for real. Like, the flight especially, like, it requires a whole new set of animation, and it's something that you don't think about until you start working on something like this, and
It's so much work.
it's so much work.
Yeah. Hi. I've not played a lot of these strategy games before, so I was just curious. Were there any specific inspirations for this game, like video game wise or otherwise?
So, yes, and it's kind of an interesting story, I think, or maybe it's not interesting at all. The reason that this is a turn-based strategy game is because I do a lot of tabletop. I played Warhammer for a very long time, and off of that I started developing my own tabletop games, and so I worked on a project before this one that I'm not going to name because the owner of it was kind of protective of it, and I don't want to besmirch that. But once that ended, I decided to start my own project, and when I was thinking of what to do, I thought I can get a turn-based strategy game done the fastest because I've made a ton of those in theory. Like, pen and paper is, in a sense, the same thing. So that's actually my inspiration is a lot of tabletop.
Hi. If each of you were a pony in this time, which side would you choose?
Probably solar.
See, you worded that question really unfairly.
Yeah, really.
Because every time somebody asks which side do you like better, then it's like, oh, I like them both. I don't care. I think I would go solar, but the only reason is because everybody is so hardcore with Luna that I'm like, I just want Celestia to go. Like, everyone's like, oh, because they like Luna better, that means they have to like Celestia less, and I start feeling bad for her.
My reasoning is I want the harmony friendship solution, and Celestia kinda-ish wants that. Maybe not an effective it all the time, but you know.
It's hard for me to say because when I'm working on the characters for the Lunar Republic, I'm like, oh, these guys are the coolest. They're the best. I want to be on this side. And then when I'm working with the Solar Empire guys, I'm like, oh, they're the coolest. They're the best. I want to be on this side. So it's hard to say.
Yeah.
We still got 2 more panelists to answer.
I picked the Solar Empire because I agree more with Celestia's motivations.
And because you're British.
And because I'm British. What's that to do with anything?
Imperialism.
You know, I'm going to be real with you guys. I haven't really thought about this very much.
It's like, I just make the music for this.
I'm glad it's thought-provoking.
I like the blue ones a lot. They're cool. But usurping the government doesn't always end up very well. Maybe in totalitarian dictatorships, but this is not one of those.
So, I mean, Catherine, that is your name, right? Your country did choose to leave the EU.
I disagreed.
And with a panel full of Solar Empire people, I'm not sure if the new Lunar Republic is going to get the support it needs in the game.
Oh, come on.
All that.
Well, that's the reason I
You're
don't
trying to
like.
stir up dissent now.
That's the reason I don't like answering that question because I don't want anyone to think their side's going to get less favored.
Can we call him Cookie Cat?
What?
So, serious question this time. When are you guys actually trying to push this game?
That's a
This
really
is
good
volunteer,
question.
so we
don't know.
Which is understandable, but do you have like any sort of like goals?
Yeah, okay, so
even
we
if you go
have
past them.
we have one like release date that we've been saying over and over and over, which is before the show's done. That's it. I mean, that's like we had a big talk just before this panel about getting things done faster and about a new system to do that. So there might be an actual release date within the next year, but no promises, and I don't know what that is right now.
I just wanted to make a suggestion to you guys. I know you mentioned permanent death. Now, I've played a lot of strategy games. I've actually played Warhammer 40K myself, and I played a lot of computer strategy games like XCOM and a couple on the PlayStation and these other systems. To me, it never works well. You always want to be able to take casualties in your war games so you can have challenging fights. Otherwise, what you end up having is the player basically perfect victories. He doesn't want to lose any pieces.
Right.
They're
It sounds
completely
like-
irreplaceable. And so it results in like save scumming. Like it happens a lot in even the new XCOMs, where if you get a colonel rank guy, there's a ranking system where experience you get to get up in rank, and you need like half the game to get like a colonel rank guy. So if you're playing the battle and your colonel rank guy gets like a crit from out of nowhere and he instantly dies, you're almost always going to hit the reload. And
That's how
XCOM is famous for save scumming.
This is why I never finish a Fire Emblem game, because I always like restart every battle. Like,
Yeah,
oh God, no,
same.
I
Yeah.
want you. Why are you dying?
Yeah, same thing. If you why not? Otherwise, you're permanently losing your roster.
Yeah.
And it's making the game progressively more difficult by not save scumming.
I haven't played like a terrible amount of these kinds of games, but the one I have played was Final Fantasy Tactics, the original PlayStation 1 one.
Yeah.
And how they kind of mitigated something like that is they have like a timer, essentially if 3 turns and pass,
Yeah,
then,
where they
then
turn
they're
to
then they're
crystal.
gone. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that
This is
might
why we had an open
But
discussion
still,
about this.
if the crystal disappears, you're going to reload your game. You're not going to
Yeah,
lose your.
you're
You're
right.
not going to lose your guy with 4 level 9 like 4
You're
different
right,
job
you're right,
classes.
but it should-
You're just going to reload.
Well,
It
this
should
is why we
like-
have an open discussion about this sort of thing, because I've also interacted with a lot of players who are very hardcore fans of these sort of games who like that there's that sort of tension, and they like the drama that evolves out of losing someone who's fought all these battles for you. And I see people make their own stories. But I agree with your point, and this is why we're looking at it from both sides, and this is why we want the fans' opinions. That's what we were planning. I mean, that's I don't want to say planning. That's what we're thinking about doing, is making
Well,
a
that
hard
just
mode.
disables
Yeah,
the
because that's
save
also
scumming.
always
That
like
doesn't
more
fix
stuff
any
to
other
do
problems.
if we add more options.
Well, the
for,
Iron Man
like,
challenge
fire
being
mode.
permadeath turned on. Like the newest Fire Emblem games, you can choose to have permadeath on or off. That would be a nice system. But the way that works, like in the background, is not as simple as it
Yeah,
sounds.
see, in XCOM, that just prevents you from reloading all your saves.
Okay. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I had a quick question about the beginning.
Yep.
Are you going to put them in tutorial level and they get to choose a side, or is it just like you want to start with Solar Empire or Lunar Republic?
No, our panel last year was the tutorial level actually. At the beginning of the game, there's an attack on Camelot by the Changelings again. And that's kind of what spurs this whole thing. That's what makes Luna go, all right, we need to figure out like how to stop this from happening over and over and over again. And in that tutorial, or that whole section, you are not aligned to either side, and you don't just pick a side. You can talk to the characters. You make your decisions to your side. We want it set up in such a way that if you know which side you want to be on from the onset of the game, we're not tricking you into picking the wrong side or anything like that. But if you don't know, or if you're kind of hazy about it, then you can really weigh your options and decide who you agree with more.
I was just wondering if there are any characters who kind of are conflicted about the choice of side they made, and also like whether part of the story will get to be getting to kind of just encounter the main 6 that are on the other side and kind of like find out why they're on the other side.
I'm sorry.
So okay, so say I'm doing a Solar Empire playthrough. Like, will I encounter the main 6 that are on the other side
You'll
and get to
encounter the
find
main
out
6.
why they're on the other side?
Yes,
Okay.
you'll encounter the main 6, and the other OC is led by Shining Armor. And they'll have their own opinions. The idea, for me, I mean, the candid idea behind this is that even people who are hardcore fans of one side, my hope is that you play through it, and these guys are like the bad guys too. You know, you got Shining Armor, and you got all the bad guys, and you got the main 6 who you don't want to fight, and you might not want to fight Shining Armor, but like these other OCs, you're like they're the villains. And then you finish the game, and hopefully you're satisfied with the ending, and you go, I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to do the other side. And then all of a sudden, those guys are your family, and you're like super attached to them. And the ones you were family with the first time are the bad guys, and it kind of gives you that perspective.
Well, right, but what I was asking is, within a playthrough of one side, do you understand the other side?
To a limited extent. That's I guess what I'm getting at, is that you have the ability to, but you're going to have to make the decision to. Okay. There's going to be times where the easiest choice isn't necessarily the best choice, and the best choice isn't necessarily easy. So, and then that's where that kind of story evolves out of.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my question was going to be about how, if you join one side, how much of the story is going to be revealed versus if you join the other one, but I guess that was already answered. So, I know you already answered this question, but how hilarious and ironic would it be if you couldn't even play as them? There was a third group of rebels seeking United Equestria that was led by Discord.
I think we joked about something like that.
Yeah, we were like really hung up about Discord.
As soon as you join the faction, the game quits out and it just erases it from your hard drive.
So we get missing no, and they
We don't honestly know what to do with Discord.
So yeah, that can be more suggestions. Tell us what you want Discord to do.
Frankly, I think Discord would just be watching and just laughing.
Popcorn.
Yeah, that was our thinking.
Yeah, this is entertainment for it.
Okay.
I kind of have a question about the Shining Armor being on the opposite team.
Yep.
When you're side with the Solar Empire, wouldn't it be kind of contradictive if he's on the enemy side, even though his sister's on the Solar Empire?
You mean if he's on the Lunar Republic, because Twilight's on the Solar Empire?
Yes.
And if he's on the Solar Empire,
then Cadence is on the Lunar Republic. So he's torn between his wife and his sister, who we've been shown he loves both very much.
Super conflicted.
And on top of that, he also has political reasons to join both. So it's not just like he just makes the opposite decision, whatever you think he should. Shining Armor is going to be kind of a foil to your character. The whole idea behind him is that he's going to be your window into seeing the other side's view of things if you let him. And he's going to have a pretty good reason to join whatever you don't. But so I guess that's the answer to that. Yeah.
Thank you for answering.
Hey guys, really big fans of the work you've been doing. I think we should call him M.A. Larson.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to making decisions within the game, obviously you can just kind of choose between two different dialogue paths. Have you guys ever given any thought to determining the outcome of a story based on the performance in a particular battle?
Yes. I guess that's a short answer. Yeah.
Yes is a very short answer. Yes.
I mean, it's
it
hard
was a very short question.
Well, okay, because we've juggled this a lot. We've talked about non-lethal combat systems, like I mentioned, morale system before, but it's very early and we don't know how to make it work. We want it so that it's not just all binary choices, but we're not totally sure how to do it. I guess the best way of putting it.
The question I had earlier, this was before I learned Shining Armor, would be essentially your opposite number. And basically, you mentioned that if you choose the Solar Empire, then you attack Stalingrad, and if you're Lunar Republic, you defend it. But how much of the actual events of the game, events of the plot, I should say, change depending on which side you choose? Are there some battles that simply don't happen if you choose one side or the other? I could understand if things essentially play out the same way, you're just on different sides, because Shining Armor essentially fills your role in the opposite camp, so arguably he does as competently as you would have in those same situations.
I didn't say that you defend it if you're playing Lunar Republic.
Oh, well, in that case, I apologize for misinterpreting that.
That's okay.
That also sort of answers my question.
Yes.
Although if you want to elaborate on that, go ahead.
Not really.
All right then.
No
All right. These are going to be the last two questions because we've got, a minute
Quick,
left.
kind of silly last question for me.
Okay.
one Warhammer fan to another, as also Brony, have you ever considered starting any of these games or stories with, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only friendship?
I have actively not considered it.
Ouch. No couch.
Okay, no, yeah, this is the last question.
Okay.
Oh.
I'd imagine you've seen the Paragon Renegade system from the Mass Effect
Oh, yeah.
series. Are you guys thinking of implementing like a system like that?
No. I mean, yes, but definitely not that. Like, there's not good guy, bad guy choices. There's something similar that's aggression, and this is going to be a bit more transparent than some people might like, but I think it should be cool for you guys. Instead of having so the best way I can explain it, instead of having a scale where you do a good thing and you get Paragon, you lose Renegade, or you do a bad thing, you lose Paragon, you gain Renegade. If you do something aggressive, you gain aggression. You never lose. If you do something nice, you don't lose aggression. You just, if you burn down a town, being nice doesn't unburn it later. So you gotta like keep that in mind. And comparatively, if you romance a character, then like, I mean, you can destroy that, but that happened. You can't undo that, and that's kind of the mentality we have. So everything, I guess that's the best way of explaining it. We have things that like background counters in a sense, the same way there's a Paragon Renegade system, but rather than being good choices and evil choices, it's choices and consequences. And I think that's all we've got time for.
Come
Thank
get cards
you guys.
if you want them.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you, BronyCon, for having us. And can we give a huge thanks to our staff, because they've been so freaking cool with us. All right.
They've been here all night. I'm sure they're
If
tired.
anyone else does have questions, I will be super happy to answer them outside the hall. So
Yeah, and we'll give you cards out there.
yeah.